People talk about success but rarely talk about the price of becoming successful. And you have probably heard of it that if you really want to become the person you want to be, you've got to sacrifice your current self. Like you have to completely suppress your current self to be the new version, to be the version of yourself that you want to be in order to achieve success. And you've also probably heard the thing that you got to make sacrifices in order to really win, which is true in fact. And you already probably know this, but this word is, I think this word is enough, all right, to make you understand that you got to make sacrifices if you really want to be where you want to be. But you still, this word doesn't really hit you that well when you really listen to it, all right? It just feels like, oh, it's very common sense thing. But what you got to realize is that it's when we say stuff like you got to sacrifice something if you really want to become the best version of yourself, you got to sacrifice. What comes in people's mind is just comfort. Comfort in a sense where basically they are just scrolling on your phone and wasting their time. Basically their comfort zone, all right? People only think about laziness. They just think about, if I want to become the best version of myself, I've got to just sacrifice my comfort, which is my laziness, and actually start working, and my life's going to be figured out eventually, like that, which is true. I'm not disagreeing with that fact, but the thing is that when we say you got to sacrifice a part of you in order to become someone better, in order to become a new version of yourself, it is not only comfort that you got to sacrifice. It can be your friend circle that's basically holding you back. It can be your relationship or whatever it is. But you as a person know it by yourself. You might also be aware about it. Some of you might not be aware about it, but this is the reality. All right. Think about it. You may love your friend circle very much. They're supporting this and that stuff, but there's always a part of it, like even if it's a little bit, that's kind of like holding you back, which is actually creating problems. Not in a very direct way, but it's also holding you back in some sort of way. And in order to, and you need to realize that. I'm just giving an example about the friend circle. It can be anything, by the way. It can be your relationship, it can be your comfort zone, it can be your friend circle, which I'm talking about it right now. So yeah, so leaving that friend group, or working on yourself in order to become the best version, in order to become that version of yourself, it might be hard. All right, it basically sounds pretty much unreasonable at some point. And yes, I'm not telling you to just go out there and leave your friend circle, by the way. I'm just giving an example. But at some point, if you really want to become the best version of yourself, you really have to make sacrifices, and you got to realize this thing. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just giving you the reality. And the reality is that you have to make sacrifices. Everything comes with a cost. And you need to acknowledge this fact, because the moment you acknowledge this thing, like seriously, the moment you acknowledge about this thing, you take this thing seriously, it will have a lot of impact in your life, because it had to me. When I took these words very seriously and actually started thinking about it deeply, I realized that it's not just my comfort, it's not just my laziness that's really holding me back. There's also many forms of sacrifices that I really needed to make, which is also in some sense is a comfort zone, but I'm like specifically explaining it in a way so that people don't really get confused, because when we say comfort zone, all we think about is scrolling on our phone. Whatever it is that's holding you back, time, comfort, relationship, friend group, whatever it is, figure that out. And if you really want to become the best version of yourself, or someone really great, you've got to make sacrifices. You've got to acknowledge the fact that everything comes with a cost, and it's not going to be easy. All right, it's not going to be in a very motivating way that we see on social media. It's not going to be really high dopamine edited. It's not going to be like the high edited, fully very high dopamine edited videos like we see on success stories, we see on social media. It is going to be a bit different. It is going to be lonely. It is going to be painful. And this is the fact we need to realize, especially if you're a man. The real serious question isn't what do I want? It's what am I willing to sacrifice for it? What you want is not the hard part to choose, all right? You as a human being will eventually figure out throughout your journey what is it that you want. I know most of you are even stressing about the thing of what you actually want. But no, you'll eventually figure it out. Don't worry about it. What you gotta be thinking about is what are you willing to sacrifice for it to become the best version of yourself, to become what you actually want to be, to get what you want in life. And once you realize it, you gotta acknowledge the fact that it comes with a cost, a specific cost that you have never even expected to be. It will be hard to make decisions at that time. But this thing, this acknowledgement that everything comes with a cost will actually help you figure out your way. So my friend, acknowledge this fact. Everything comes with a cost. It's not going to be easy. But keep faith and you'll eventually figure out a way. Everything happens for a reason. Take responsibility and you'll eventually achieve it. I hope this video is helpful to you in some way. If you have any thoughts for this video or any problems with your life, you can definitely leave it down in the comments. Until then, stay disciplined.